And I'm Mark DeGarmo, and with me today on Wednesday, May 27th, 2020, at 2:23 p.m. Eastern Time is Anabella Lenzu. And she is a woman of many, many artistic talents. And so I will have her introduce herself, if you would, Anabella, and also your geographic location.
Okay, thank you so much, Mark, for inviting me. My name is Anabella Lenzu, and I'm a choreographer, dancer, and dance teacher. I've been teaching for 30 years. I'm originally from Argentina, and I've been living and teaching in Chile, in Italy, and it's 14 years that I'm here living in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, married with an American photographer. That's why I'm here in the United States. And then I have two kids. Fiamma is 6 years old and Lucio is 11 years old.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anabella. Welcome.
Welcome.
Before the pandemic, how would you have described your creative practice and work?
Mm-hmm. Before the pandemic, you know, I've been choreographing since, I don't know, since 14 years old. My creative process is very collaborative, and because of the kind of work that I do is dance theater. So for me, the creative process is an excuse to share with another artist and learn from another discipline. So I collaborate with theater directors, with composers, with visual artists, and they always start for something that really impact me. You know, like for example, right now I'm keep going in rehearsals. So more or less my creative process start for something that really impact me. Or I remember researching about the Selknam. There was a extinct tribe in Argentina, in Patagonia. And my husband gave me as a birthday gift a book. And I started to research about, you know, the Native American, South American Indian and tribes that I didn't even study in school. And that was a research. For me, every creative process is a research, either personal or historical. And it has to do, you know, my dances go from the political to the ritual. Mm. And I feel that, you know, sometimes I feel that they are connected. They are one thing. So again, the research part is very, very important for me. And that's what keeps me creative.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. How are you practicing your creativity and creative work during this time?
It's tough because, you know, I'm in a duplex apartment in Brooklyn with my kids. So we are four, and it's tough to have the, you know, my private time. Usually in the last 4 years, I started my creative process taking photograph of myself, you know, with a phone. And so usually I get in a mood, but I need to be alone. So that's a tough part right now, how to create my lonely time within the house, you know, and without go to sleep late at night, you know, usually when the house is calm. But, you know, that's the issue. You know, I keep rehearsing, as I say, I keep researching, reading, but the creative part, you know, is really tough if I don't share with someone else because I am not alone. So that's the most difficult thing since the pandemic started.
That's interesting. Is there almost another part of yourself that you access in that alone time? That's your creative.
Exactly. And before that, I finished my MFA in choreography in 2018. And when I went into this residency for a month, you know, in the middle of Pennsylvania, it was like 8 years that I never been alone, you know, with my kids, always. So as a woman, you know, in creative process, thank you for asking me that, you know, I feel that this necessity to have alone time is very important. You know, I know that many people during the pandemic are alone and they crave to be with people. And sometimes I wish I can be alone, you know, to digest and to process. And sometimes the creative process is a delicate thing because you go into places that you need to be alone, you know, to cry, to get mad, to scream, you know. And for me, when I start any creative process, lately I use the camera, so I'm very vulnerable, and I don't want that my kids or my husband come and interrupt me. That, you know, this private moment of meditative process, you know, creative process, meditative process. So that's difficult.
So previously, did you create in your home, or did you go to a studio, a separate space? I mean, were you home when nobody was there? How did that work for you?
Both. It was, since, you know, since I have the kids, you know, it's very tough. Also economically, because I don't have my own studio, I always rent. So sometime I used to work in my home, usually alone. And then when I have, you know, my collaborators invited, I rent a space.
Mhm.
So, you know, just to separate. But many times I work in my living room, you know, the one that you're seeing in now. But again, I'm alone in the house, you know.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, it's fascinating what you're describing. Also, as a woman who's an artist, I would imagine there are many tensions and challenges that
Mhm.
men artists might not appreciate, even men with children. I don't know if there's anything you would want to comment on or around that
You know,
thought.
even for my husband, he's an artist, he's a photographer, you know, this lonely time of both of us, how important is, you know, sometimes you just put your headphones and you just want be in a corner reading. So working and living with another artist also is important to respect each other's time. And even if we are in the same space, respect this private moment and concentration. um, that's what I noticed. Even, you know, in these 3 months, 12 weeks that I've been inside, it's hard to me to concentrate for long periods of time because of the interruptions. And even if I don't have the interruptions, you know, it's like your body is always in this alertness. So even to look at a dance film, you know, or even
Mhm.
I read, you know, already 5 books, but it's a lot of interruptions. So I cannot go in a deep concentration. That's what I'm missing.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear you very clearly,
Mhm.
and having similar experiences in other ways, or certainly around the alertness of the body.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Annabella, you've already talked about it, but you might just speak a little bit more about how have your creative practice and work changed as a result of the pandemic?
Hmm. Well, as I always, you know, I'm South American. We always have issues and problems. So for me, being creative is solve problems. So,
Mm,
for example, technology. Now, in the month of June, I have to do 3 live performances, which I'm very curious about what it's going to be, because I'm always, you know, look for quality of the image. As you can see, you know, I live and work with a photographer, so I have certain standards how the things need to look. So I put this as a new way to explore choreography. You know, actually, all my books about that, it was like reading my notes and how we gonna deal with this flatness from the 3D to the 2D. But
mm,
I take this challenge very seriously. And so how you can really work on the depth, you know, how
mm,
you can work on the micro gestures. So for me, actually, these limitations are enriching my creativity because I need to embrace the media. And I know that, you know, many of us, you know, and I have friends that are, oh, but we want to perform live. But I also concerned about, you know, security, when I'm going to feel safe to perform in front of the audience. You know, I have some proposals to go in places and record, and I'm like, I don't even go out of my house. I have 2 kids. So I don't even consider this for, you know, the next couple of months. So I want to embrace my surroundings and the difficulties and make it part of my art. And that's what I've been always doing. You know, in Argentina, I have just 5 books growing up about dance in the public library. And they knew by memory these 5 books, you know, My Life by Isadora Danca, Blood Memory for Martha Graham, An Instance by Maurice Béjart, and then I have a Frederick Action in the Vaganova. I knew by memory. It was not about the amount of information, it was about the depth and the commitment. So I'm not scared about these restrictions. And I've been daydreaming, like, what about if I do a live performance and I project it on the side of the building so my neighbors can see it? What about if I perform in my balcony? I don't know. I'm excited about that, actually. You know, that's why I feel that artists will like. Sometimes when you don't have much, you grow up, you know, you have 2 ways to make a cake. Open the refrigerator to see what it is and you make a cake. Or you can go to the supermarket or you order, you know, online. For me, it's what I have. I need to work with that. And that's how I activate my creativity, no?
Oh, thank you, Anabella. It's fantastic what you're talking about. It's so grounded in the work of the artist and the creative process. It's very beautiful and deep what you're talking about.
Thank you.
What advice might you give your peers and other artists?
About what? Advice about what?
Maybe things that you're discovering in this moment, or if you have friends who might be saying, I'm stuck, or I don't quite know how to navigate. Everything is so new and different and unknown.
I feel the key is the connection, you know, like we have the media that we have, the internet, we have, you know, the phone that connect with each other, you know, and hear, you know, different stories. As I was telling you before, you know, I have students from all over the world. And in a week, I'm talking with people in Cairo, in Italy, in Japan, in Argentina, and I hear different realities. And so hearing that, I can see where I am. I can position myself, you know, it's like, you're like, okay, these are the different realities and here I am. And what is my role also in that? And hearing, you know, I have my friend that is still teaching in Cairo and his teach have group classes and with a mask and touch people. And I'm like, ah, you're not scared, you know? So navigating all these different choices, how we live now, give me strength and make me feel that I'm not isolated. And also, as I say before, the creative part give me positiveness, make me positive about the things that I can do. And it's also my choice to focus on, you know, sometimes you hear the news and, you know, there are days that you are like really down, but also embrace that. And sometimes I'm teaching my students, you know, via Zoom, and I say today was not a good day. And I've been honest about it, but something during the whole class that a student say that make me change. So if something make us realize this pandemic, it's we are all one community, and you know, all one community, and we all influence each other. So when I'm down, I have a friend that call me and, you know, leave me, and the same thing I do sometimes. So I feel that simpatico, this sympathy, this, you know, empathy, this generosity of sharing things, that's what keep us ongoing.
Thank you very much for that. I think that's going to be inspiring for not only me, but for other people that are going to be listening and hearing your thoughts. Anabella, what creative projects and upcoming opportunities are in the works for you?
Well, you know, I supposed to be premiere a new work at La Mama Moves on June 6 and 7.
Wow.
And I keep my deadline. I just extended 1 more week with my 2 collaborators, Daniel Petro as my director and Naoko Maishiba as my dramaturg. And we're going to make it. And we're going to finish that sketch, which is going to be live, you know, like supposed to be for live stage. And then I'm going to adapt it. And I wanted to do it different versions. I want to do just a version that is just the voice. Not even see. I want to do another version that's just for film. You know, I'm like, I keep going. And then showing different things from different venues for Pioneers Go East, for Judson Church, for Bath. You know, I have this is an amazing community that we have. And so I'm planning to share all this research that I've been doing for 2 years for this show that I show in your salon, Mark, in November last year. And it's I think this since the pandemic I add a lot of humor, much more than before, and the absurdity of life so much that I became kind of like a clown. And I love it, you know, I love it. I keep going. That's why I say limitations enrich us. So yeah. So stay tuned because June, July, we're gonna keep showing in different venues 5 minutes, 7 minutes of this material that is all done. It's supposed to be a full-length show, but then I'm gonna investigate how to frame it with this technology in a different way.
Marvelous. Well, again, thank you having been in the salon that we did. It was just wonderful to see that work in process. I can't wait to see the next version.
And now it's no caps and no projections. So it changed completely.
Understood. Yep, of course. Is there anything else you might like to share today?
I just want to share that since I met you, you know, so many years here in New York City, 14 years in here about you. But when I met you, your warmth and your generosity, Mark, this is remarkable. And of course, count with me for anything you need. I'm here, you know, to support you and to your amazing educational programs that you have. And count with me, you know, anytime. I'm here.
Thank you, Anabella. I absolutely will. Thank you again, Anabella Lenzu, for speaking with me today.
My pleasure. Anytime.